Should be good. And away we go. Special Monday morning early stream coming to you. I may try to do these every Monday now throughout the playoffs. I do give you guys some streams sometimes early mornings, but I'm going to definitely try to do these as we go through the playoffs. I know a lot of you guys watch the games, but it's kind of fun because we can interact and kind of talk about what we saw, the turnouts, where maybe we felt things were going to go. Let me get this shared out real quick, too. YouTube's bad about. All right. Should be good there. Got that shared out. Anyway, but I'm going to keep rambling on. So, we had a very interesting new Monday or weekend for playoffs this year, right? They added a couple teams. Every day I'm hustling. Nathan, what's up? Yeah, man, we're going to get into that. We'll talk about it. We're going to go game by game. We're just going to kind of break down and talk about, where I thought the game was going to go each game. My honest opinion beforehand and kind of what I saw and where we're at afterwards. Now, I didn't get to see every single game, whole game through. I watched pretty much yesterday, the majority of yesterday's games, but I was in and out of your guys' auctions and other things throughout the day and night. On Saturday, I watched most of the Bills and Colts game. I didn't get to see a lot of the Rams. I saw parts of it, and I saw parts of the Tampa Bay-Washington game on Saturday night as I was out at the casino. But we're still going to kind of look over the game notes, the stats, and we're going to kind of break it down and kind of see where we're at. Mark, what's up, brother? Good morning. Happy Monday to you. Cheers. If we want to call this caffeine with the team as well, we can. I had to go out to treatment this morning, but I think what I'm going to honestly do, guys, is I think Monday mornings I'm going to, even if I don't have to go anywhere before work, I'm going to get up at like 6 or so, and I'm going to do these throughout after every weekend. So just look for that. Plan on that. If you guys are early risers or whatever you might be, just plan on that to happen. So let's break it down. So we had the first game that was at noon on Saturday. The Indianapolis Colts at the Buffalo Bills. Personally, you guys knew who I was rooting for. Personally, you knew who I thought I felt was going to win if you've been in any of my streams. If you saw me rocking any Bills, the old school Bills hat and whatnot. The game played out primarily pretty much the way that I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be a close game. I didn't think Buffalo would just blow them out of the water. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there. Dear man, Zach, Terry, what's up? Good morning. I'm sure there's people out there that are going to say the Bills maybe aren't as good of a team, that don't completely understand how well the Colts defense is. How elite the Colts defense is. So there's going to be some people out there that are going to say, man, Buffalo barely won. They're not as good of a team as people are hyping them up to be or whatever. Guys, I'm not a diehard Bills fan. I got a little love for them on the inside. I've always kind of loved the whole Bills Mafia thing. If you guys remember, like when Josh Allen, some of you guys may not because you guys are newer to the community, but when Josh Allen first came in, when I was getting into a bunch of breaks with like Buck City Breaks and some of those other guys, flag does look clean, man. Looks awesome. Thank you again, buddy. Yeah, Zach got me that D45 flag below the shelving, and it fits perfectly. It's the same length as the shelves. It's just amazing. So, awesome job. Shout out to Zach, man. It's dope. So, yeah, I mean, I've always been I was on Josh Allen when he got drafted. I actually started to PC him when he got drafted, when a lot of people were saying his accuracy is going to be an issue. He's got an arm, but his accuracy is just not there. And a lot of people were doubting him. Did you guys see last night? They actually showed during the Pittsburgh and Cleveland Browns game. Not that I want to jump to that, but it basically has to do with all the teams. They showed all the quarterbacks that were drafted, like Baker, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and like Lamar's got most rushing TDs in a quarterback, or for a quarterback, whatever. Baker's got, I think, most touchdown passes thrown. Or Josh Allen has the most rush TDs. Lamar Jackson, I think, has most rush yards. And then Baker has, like, most TDs. And they're all out of that class, like, which is just absolutely amazing. It's mind-blowing, right? It's kind of like this year's draft class. I feel like there's going to be similarities within the multiple, with the half handful of great quarterbacks that were drafted out there. It's a game of matchups. The Colts match up with us very well. Yeah, and again, like Nathan, at the end of the day, I felt like Buffalo would take it away. They've been rolling. They've been rocking. What a better time at the end of the season to just start blowing through teams and putting up 50-plus points against teams. But again, what I'm getting at, Nathan, is there's going to be people out there that are going to be, the haters for Buffalo and whoever else are going to say, well, man, they only beat the Colts by 3 points. Well, if you're just saying that, you don't really understand the game of football, and you don't understand how well Indianapolis Colts defense is. And for Buffalo to go do that against an elite defense like the Colts and win that first game, that's huge. And that's going to be a lot of momentum, as it is for every team that wins their first playoff game as we get through the playoffs here. But let's just look over a couple things. I mean, I think the surprise for me, honestly, in this game, if we break down stats, is Phillip Rivers. Like, I knew Jonathan Taylor was gonna have a decent day, right? I talked about him as far as my DFS plays. And again, guys, I didn't do great in DFS this week at all. I mean, I think I even told you guys, like, that Harris dude for the Saints, I didn't even bring him up. I didn't talk about him. He was probably one of the guys that was 3,000 or 3,600 that I said don't dig that deep in the playoffs, because usually it doesn't happen. They get like one target or whatever, and then all of a sudden I saw this guy blowing up, and I go, well, here you go. It's gonna blow right up in my face. But I'm not afraid to admit it. I had a great night in NBA last night. It took care of any losses that I had from the NFL. But the best part about it is we move on to this next weekend. We get another weekend. We get another chance to go back and play. So again, guys, for those of you that are new or don't always watch me on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings, I do discuss my plays that I'm on for the games, for the for the playoffs, and break it down as well as I can. But I think my biggest surprise was Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers. And I guess I maybe want to say Pittman as well, almost getting... He had 10 targets. He only caught 5 of them, though, right? He could have had a monster day. 5 receptions. He had 90 yards, right? So I'd say Phillip Rivers and Pittman were kind of my surprises on the Colts side of the ball. Pittman almost getting 100 yards. Actually pretty insane, getting 10 targets. But look at Phillip Rivers. 27 for 46, 309 yards. And 2 TDs against a very tough Buffalo defense. So, Bill's side of the thing here. Josh Allen, as we knew, I mean, it wasn't a secret, right? Most people were on, DFS-wise, most people were on Josh Allen. Majority of the field was on Josh Allen. 324 yards. He had the passing TDs. He also had the rushing TD. He had 54 yards rushing as well. Threw for over 300 yards, 324 yards. Really no huge surprise here. Gabriel Davis, I didn't talk enough about. He did make a lot of my lineups. Not as the primary Bills receiver. He was usually the secondary. So he was either with John Brown, which this is terrible right here. This is what killed a lot of my lineups. I was heavy on John Brown. Whoops. I was heavy on John Brown, and you guys know you guys know that I was. Yeah, what am I? Lost my thing here. But that was the big surprise right here. And John Brown, I think, was a surprise, like the big flop surprise of this game. So, who's Buffalo? Who's playing who now? Let me get this straight here. Now that they got all the... So Ravens go to Buffalo on Saturday. And then Rams go to Green Bay. That'll be interesting. So a 3:30 and a 7 p.m. game. And then Browns at Chiefs and Bucks at Saints. Now, Ravens-Buffalo is going to be an interesting game. So it'll be interesting to see. The Ravens finally got, again, as every team does, momentum because they picked up a win. What's up, man? Buffalo, Baltimore. Yeah. What's up, Balls? Hope you're doing well, my guy. I really honestly wish your Bears would have beat the Saints. No offense to any Saints fans out there, but I'm not a huge Saints guy, and I know I'm a Viking fan. So why would I root for Bears? Well, because they're also in the NFC North. So if my team's not going to be there, you might as well root for whoever is within your division, right? And freezing at the store, Pitt about to go to work, man. I need a better job. Yeah, man, working out in that cold gotta suck, dude. Appreciate you popping in here, dude. Balls, good morning to you. Gate, City Picker, what's up, man? So like I was telling everybody, I'm going to start doing these probably every Monday morning through the NFL playoffs. We're going to kind of look at each game, break down, because I can also throw in my DFS side of things, kind of who I was on. Like I just told you guys, I'm not afraid to tell you where I bust. John Brown was a guy I talked a lot about. He had 4 targets. He had 0 yards, 0 receptions. He laid a big goose egg, and that's really what affected a lot of my NFL lineups this week in DFS. And guys, like I've said before, that's why I don't play cash in NFL during playoff time, because it's too hard. It's so easy for one player to flop, and if one player flops in your cash lineups, you have no way of probably cashing. If they happen in GBBs and you have another guy that monsters the ceiling, or a couple guys that do above and everybody else does all right, you're probably still going to cash. You'll be fine. So there's a big difference there. So again, like I said, no surprise at Josh Allen's performance. It'll be very interesting to see kind of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson go head-to-head this next weekend. I mean, guys, what's better, what's more entertaining than the NFL playoffs? I mean, I think playoffs in general in all sports are fun. But man, this time of year with the NFL is just so goddamn fun. We just had a whole weekend of football, basically from beginning afternoon to evening. We keep dropping down games, I get that. We're still going to have 2 games Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. And they're going to be great. They're going to be amazing, amazing games. So the next one we're going to go to is the Rams and the Seahawks. Man, this I got to tell you guys, was a surprise to me, personally. I strongly felt like Seattle was going to beat the Rams. I strongly was on Russell Wilson. He did not perform. He kind of was playing like he did in the tail end, and I know the Rams have a solid defense, but still, we're talking about Russell Wilson, who started the season off just insane. 30-20, the Rams take it over. You're talking about a Rams team that has an amazing defense, but their offense is just all over the place, right? They didn't know who was going to play quarterback because Goff had surgery. And I don't think it's just that. I think Goff has just underperformed so bad throughout the season. Think about the receiving core that the Rams have, and think about how he's done this season. Like, it's terrible. I mean, he's got Woods, he's got Kupp, he's got Everett, he's got Higbee. He's got, who else he got? Who's their other? Don't they have another slot guy or something? I don't remember who the other guy is. But anyway, either way. So they didn't know going into this game if Goff or Wolford was going to play, right? They didn't know who was going to be the starter. I think we all knew that Goff was going to, unless he absolutely couldn't go. He had practice. He tested out the thing. He said it felt great through the practice before the games. So it kind of led you to believe that Goff would be the guy here. Goff would be the guy to go to. I'm not going to say Cam Akers was a surprise because, again, guys, if you remember in my DFS plays, Cam Akers was one of my top running backs. I liked Henry. I said you're either going to play Kamara, like Henry or Kamara as your high pay up. Akers, I said, was way too cheap. He was $6,100 on FanDuel. He was $5,100 on DK. Way too cheap for the position he was in, right? He goes out with 28 carries, has 131 yards and a touchdown. He had a couple receptions too. Yep, he had 2 receptions for 45 yards, right? But here's what's crazy. And I guess it was the rushing that did it in their defense, right? And here's the other thing, everybody always talks about turnovers. And we're going to get to, when we get to the Pittsburgh and Cleveland game, if you took away those turnovers, which we'll talk about for Big Ben, man, he had a monster day. But you can't turn the ball over like you do, especially in the playoffs. You're not going to win, right? But Goff, only 155 yards. I mean, for how he's been performing, that's basically a solid performance for Jared Goff. This is pretty much the way he's played the majority of the season. Wolford got in there for six snaps, had three completions for 29 yards. The big thing is Akers here, 28 carries, 131 yards, a touchdown. He just went full beast mode. He got to about 180 yards, all-purpose yards from scrimmage. So that's you would say probably your big surprise here is this. I think I was kind of surprised on the receiving end. Cooper Kupp had 9 targets. Woods had 8 targets. They both only had 4 receptions, which, again, it's crazy that we look at these numbers on the offensive side, and they played Seattle, and they still came out and won by 10 points, right? But here's where things go south for the other team. Russell Wilson, right here, interception, right? So he throws 27 attempts, has 11 completions, 174 yards, 2 TDs, and throws an interception. Chris Carson, who I was pretty heavy on, just didn't get it done, right? 16 rushes, 77 yards. I mean, he averaged just under 5 yards. He didn't see the end zone. Russell Wilson had 4 for 50 yards rushing. The guy that I told you guys I loved, right? DK Metcalf. He had... this thing always jumps around. I hate this site. DK Metcalf had 5 receptions, 96 yards, 2 TDs. He had 11 targets. 11 targets. He caught under 50% of his targets thrown to him. Whether they were all in reach or not, I didn't get to see the whole game. But, man, that's already a huge day. Could you imagine if he caught like 3 more of those or 4 more of those catches, especially over on DraftKings where you're getting a point per reception? Absolutely great day. Lockett just not showing up. 4 targets, 2 receptions, 43 yards. Again, if he's not getting the ball thrown to him, it's hard for him to perform as well. So, but on the Seahawks side, again, I think our big disappointment was Russell Wilson. No fans have definitely hurt the defense more. Number 12th, yeah. What's up, Connor? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. But I think the surprise here was Russell Wilson. Just didn't get it done, man. And again, tough defense, but it doesn't matter, right? You're in the playoffs. You have to get it done. When it's time to do it, the playoffs is the time to do it. You're trying to win a championship. That's your ultimate goal for, I think, any player out there. So, unfortunate, but let's move on. So, Tampa Bay and Washington. And the surprise here, believe it or not, is going to be an old Viking backup quarterback, Tyler Hinkie. Hinkie, however you pronounce it. We'll get to the stats here. We'll go with the Bucs first. So, some would call him the GOAT, Tom Brady. Obviously comes out. Again, not the guy that I was heavy on as far as a quarterback. And, of course, it bit me right in the butt. 381 yards, two passing TDs, 40 attempts, 22 completions. Leonard Fournette, and here's what a big surprise was, right? So I was big on Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones ended up being a scratch, I think, right at kickoff. Something about his thigh or something. They couldn't tell us that pregame or well before the start of the game. It was basically right around kickoff. So that's another part that killed me. So not only did I have John Brown in a lot of my lineups, I also had, not only did I have John Brown, I also had Ronald Jones in a lot of my lineups, and that just killed me. Killed me. Antonio Brown, he got that was one carry, 22 yards. I was gonna say he had two catches, 49 yards. He had 3 total attempts. Mike Evans went over 100 yards. He had 6 receptions, 119 yards, 10 targets. Cameron Brate, kind of probably the surprise here, right? I was heavy on Gronk, so that'd be another guy. Not to say that Gronk was going to have like an insane game. I wasn't thinking he would get 10 receptions, but I thought that he would find the end zone. He's kind of been an end zone monster. He's been a Brady go-to as of late in the end zone, so I felt like that would be a guy that would have seen the end zone, but he didn't. He had 1 target, and that was it. Mike Evans was your guy. Godwin, 80 yards. Cameron Brate, again, another surprise there. Leonard Fournette, probably the highlight. Him and Brady, the highlight on the Bucs side, right? Getting in the end zone. Here's the surprise. I think this is one of the surprises besides the Browns pretty much crushing the Steelers this weekend. Is Tyler Hinkie, man, 26 of 44, 306 yards. He did throw an interception, but for a guy that basically hadn't played much at all, gets in there the playoff game and throws for over 300 yards against the Tampa Bay defense. Man, and not only that, he had 6 rushes for 46 yards and got in the end zone with a rushing TD as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this guy. You know, you can't take one game and just go all in with a player. But at the same time, it was playoff time. It was playing against a pretty good defense. He put up some good numbers. He had over 350 total yards between rushing and passing and 2 TDs. He did turn it over once, but that's to be expected. I would assume that the Washington football team expected Taylor to probably turn the ball over at least one time, being his first, being in that first playoff game and not playing pretty much the majority of the season. So again, I don't think it was a surprise here as far as who came out in this game. I think most people felt the Bucs would win, but man, they made it. I mean, they gave him a run for it. They made it a run. What's up, Logan, man? How you been, brother? Good to see you, my guy. All right, so that takes care of Saturday. So let's move over into yesterday, Sunday. We're just doing a little playoff hangover here, going through the games. So Baltimore and Tennessee. So the big thing here was Lamar Jackson, right? Can he win a playoff game? Can he actually get a win? He's flopped his opportunities he's had so far. And a lot of people still just label him as a running back, right? He rushes for a ton, right? We see it here. He had 136 yards. He had a rushing TD on 16 carries. He threw the ball 179 yards on 17 completions, 24 attempts, and just had 1 turnover, right? So and here's what's surprising. Marquise Brown, 9 targets, over 100 yards. And again, I had brought him up. I remember I said I wouldn't pay up for Mark Andrews. I talked about that at tight ends. I said I don't feel like he's in a great spot, and I don't feel like you have to pay up, right? I was talking about Ebron, Hooper. If it was just Saturday's slate, I was talking Logan Thomas or Gronk, right? Which I already highlighted. I was heavy on Gronk because he's been an end zone monster, and it obviously wasn't him. It was Cameron Brate for the Bucs. But either way, J.K. Dobbins, he got in the end zone, which is great, under 40 yards. I thought Dobbins would actually take a little bit more of the rushing yard load. I honestly did. I felt like Dobbins was going to be a guy who was probably going to get close to 100 yards with that TD mark here. I had talked about him a bit in the Sunday morning stream. I'm having brain farts. Sorry, guys. It's early. It's Monday. So Tannehill, obviously the big surprise here was Derrick Henry, right? 18 carries, 40 yards, 2.2 per carry average. That's just not, you're not going to get it done. It's not going to happen. They're not going to win. This guy's numbers has to be well over 100. He has to find the end zone for these guys to even have a chance at winning this game. And you can't go off and say that they didn't attempt to try to get him the ball because he did have 18 carries. But at the end of the day, like I told you guys Sunday morning, I said it doesn't matter what they're down. If they're not feeding Henry because they're looking for that big break play, if they're not feeding Henry, they're probably not going to have themselves even in a position to win regardless. And I feel like this 18 carries should have been around 24 to 25. And you say, well, it's 5-6 carries. Well, 5-6 carries can be a big difference maker, right? 2 of those or 3 of those, and I've seen it happen, could be 80-yard touchdown breaks or 90-yard touchdown runs that he breaks, right? So they tried, they attempted, they had 18 carries. I get it, and however the game scripted it, it just didn't play out for him, or how it was, and how the where they started off at their starting points on their offensive side, but still. And then right here too, Tannehill really underperformed from where he performed this season. 18 for 26, 165 yards, 1 TD, and again a turnover here, right? So you guys are seeing a common theme, and it's no surprise, right? The turnovers. Every team, every quarterback that we've done here that's been on the losing side has had an interception. Every one of them. Right? So you can't, again, it shows you cannot turn the ball over in the NFL, and especially in the playoffs. All right, so let's get to the Chicago at the Saints game. You know, a lot of people obviously were, well, I think this had one of the highest spreads as far as, I think it was like 10.5 for the Saints. But, you know, I think we still inside some of those people who are not big Saints fans, people that are Bears fans, whatever, had that little glimpse of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could do it. And again, very strong defense, very tough defense. I mean, we knew this, right? Trubisky, the first half, just terrible, right? Terrible in the first half. I think there were a couple times where he was almost picked as well. He didn't get picked. But this, I think he was at, Balls could probably remember, and I could probably break it down by quarters. But I want to say his total yards thrown at the halftime had to have been around 50 or under 50 yards, I believe, right? He got a lot of this towards the end of the game. In fact, now there's a couple things you can look back at too. Wims, that touchdown he dropped in the end zone. And again, he didn't catch it. You can't dwell on those things. But it was right in his hands and right out of his hands, right? Then Anthony Miller, that Gardner dude, that's a punk, like, who gets in everybody's face. And I get it, trash talking, it's playoffs, that makes it fun. But sometimes he's a little too in people's faces. He gets Anthony Miller to retaliate like Wims did to him when they played early on, or earlier this year, I believe, where he got ejected. So then he got himself ejected. Just insane. And then right here, here's your workhorse running back. And again, very tough defense, right? He averaged 2.6 yards. He had 12 carries, 31 yards. Kind of the same type of Derrick Henry thing. Like, just not enough there, right? Again, the opportunity wasn't there. It didn't present itself. They were behind, right? Obviously, you're not going to run. But if you're Derrick Henry and the Titans, you still do that because Henry's just that beast back that can just break that 90-yarder at any given time and have you back in the game. The other surprise here is Allen Robinson. Just not targeted enough. The targets on Allen Robinson, I believe, should have been at least 10 10 to 11 at least targets. He gets 7 targets. He catches 6 of them. 55 yards. Doesn't find the end zone. Right here. That's what's killing us, right? And they talked pregame too. Somebody said something about being 300 plus yards for Trubisky. Not that he's done it much, but that's what it would take to beat a Saints defense, or the Saints in general, I guess. And again, you see here, 199, 1 TD. So let's get over to the Saints side of things. So it's kind of interesting. Latavius Murray had a receiving touchdown. It was a short goal line touchdown. I thought he would be more on the rushing side. Not that it matters on a scoring aspect for DFS, but Drew Brees kind of surprised some people, like with that deep. He had a couple deep passes. That one to Michael Thomas that kind of brought us back to like the old times with them, right? The guy that was surprising, though, was this guy, this Deontay Harris. He had more yards than Michael Thomas. He didn't find the end zone, but he had 7 receptions, 83 yards. He caught every target that was thrown to him. Deontay Harris was kind of like the highlight surprise for the Saints here, which will be interesting going forward this next weekend. He might be a guy, and the people are going to be on him because of game log. I call it game log whoring, where you look at game logs when you're building a lineup for a new week. You look at previous weeks, and you can't always go off of that because everything is so different. Like, the defenses are different. Just there's a lot of differences, right? Kamara, who we felt was going to have a decent game, 23 carries and 4.3 yards. He had 99 yards rushing, a TD. He also had 2 receptions for 17 yards. Michael Thomas, again, we talked about 7 targets. He caught 5 of them, 73 yards and a TD. And then Drew Brees, 265 yards and 2 TDs. And again, no turnovers. Now, Trubisky didn't have an interception either. But again, we're seeing this. Let's get to the last game of the weekend, wild card weekend. This was a very, very interesting one, right? Man, if people would have knew that Baker Mayfield was going to do what he did against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I just had to take a drink before I move on with this one. Insane, right? So the game starts, it's basically like 14-0, and then it becomes 21-0 when Kareem Hunt like drags 5 Pittsburgh defenders with him into the end zone for 4 yards. And although Nick Chubb had the more rushing yards, Kareem Hunt was the highlight finding the end zone, right? And then he had a 12-yarder that he was untouched on. He jumped like a player, a defensive player, did like a scoot skedaddle, and then just up the field for 10 yards. So, but man, Baker Mayfield just trying to prove all those haters wrong. 21 for 34, 263 yards, 3 TDs. And again, we highlight no interceptions. Nick Chubb, 76 yards. I think we thought Nick Chubb would be gaining a little bit more than that, even though Pittsburgh fans and other people would say that's not going to happen. They're going to shut him down. You know, people were saying Chubb owns the Steelers. He did have a couple decent longer runs. But again, 18 carries, 76 yards, 4.2 average. Kareem Hunt, the monster here, though, at 48 rushing yards, getting in the end zone, finding it twice. Chubb got the receiving touchdown. I talked about Hooper, right? He had 11 targets, guys. Austin Hooper. This is what you want right here, especially when you're building your lineups in NFL DFS for the playoffs. You want that type of target share. A tight end who is 5,000 or 5,500 or 3,900 on DK. 11 targets. He had 11 opportunities to do something. Caught 7 of them, 46 yards. The big thing is he got in the end zone, right? Well outperformed Mark Andrews at half the price almost. So again, that's where you got to find when you're building your lineups. You got to think about these things. You got to look back at these things. You got to think about values. Where can I open up my lineup and build my lineup better where I'm going to save money and have more upside, right? At the end of the day, Scotty Arena, what's up, my good brother? How you doing, man? Hey, I ripped some Bowman's Best Saturday night when I was at the casino and some Topps Chrome. I got all sorts of Bo Bichettis that I pulled. So, but yeah, man. So Hooper getting it done, right? I also said I liked Higgins. He didn't perform well, but he had 7 targets and he was cheap. He was like 4,100 on DK, and I don't remember exactly what his price was on FanDuel now that I think about it. But Higgins had 7 targets. 7 targets. We only caught 2 of them. So, all right. So let's get to the Steelers side of things. Man, Big Ben, 68 attempts, 47 yards because they're playing from behind, right? He's pass. And puts up 501 yards, 4 TDs, but here's what killed him. It's obvious, right? 4 interceptions. 4 times he turned the ball over. Can't do it. Here's the surprise. Besides Roethlisberger with 4 turnovers and a surprising, amazing 500 yards passing, which is pretty crazy. I mean, that is crazy. He did attempt 68 times, but still, 501 yards is pretty insane. Rushing game, we knew probably wouldn't be there much. Connor did get in the end zone at 37 yards on 11 carries, 3.4 yard average. I think Juju Schuster was kind of a surprise here for the Steelers, right? 19 targets. 19 targets. He had 19 opportunities presented to him, caught 13 of them, had 157 yards and a TD. I didn't talk about Juju at all. And again, I'm all right with admitting when I don't hit things or when things don't go the way I talked about them pre-games. It's the way it is. It's the NFL. Anything can happen, right? Deontay Johnson I talked about as well. He had 117 yards. He had 16 targets, right? Ebron was the other tight end I was talking about. Ebron and Hooper. For Sunday, it was Ebron and Hooper. For Saturday, it was Logan Thomas and Gronk. Which, Gronk didn't do anything. But 11 targets for a tight end again. So we see Hooper and Ebron get the same amount of opportunities. 11 targets. Amazing. 62 yards and a touchdown. Claypool, who I talked about, he didn't have a lot of receiving yards, but he had 2 TDs. He got in the end zone twice. He had seven attempts thrown to him, 5 receptions. So, but again, wow, what a crazy game, right? 48-37. And like, we see this so often, like, right? Teams get in panic modes because they have to, because they're down so much, and they end up like playing like, they almost start playing elite, but it's too late, right? They're about 4 to 5 minutes too late in the game. There's not enough clock. There's not enough time left, right? Not enough time. We always talk about time. We always talk about how time is precious to us, and all we don't have is time, right? The clock is constantly ticking. We can't pause the clock. We can't stop the clock on ourselves, on our lives. What's up, Elvis? He says Bucs Super Bowl champs. All right, well, I'm still going to roll with the Bills and the Packers to be the Super Bowl teams. I'm not sure who I'd want to win yet, but we'll see who actually gets there. So let's discuss next weekend real quick, and then I'm going to get off of here. And you guys can get ready for your Mondays as well. All right. So here we go. Saturday, we got the Rams at the Packers. I don't know. We could be talking about this completely differently come Monday morning. Again, next Monday, I'll do another one of these streams going through stuff, kind of doing my own takes and talking about who I talked about for DFS. Basically, righting my wrongs, highlighting my rights, I guess. So Rams at Packers. Ravens at Bills, that's going to be a fun game, I think. Ravens-Bills is just going to be a fun game to watch. Browns and Chiefs. You think these Browns can go in and knock off the Chiefs? Do you think they can do it? How insane would that be? How insane would it be if Baker has the same performance he did this last weekend? Hunt and Chubb just go at it, man. Well, I just kind of say it how it is. It doesn't matter who I root for or don't root for. It's the way I see it happening. The way and again, it's kind of like I always say Aaron Rodgers is an elite quarterback. I always say that, right? Even though I'm a Viking fan, Aaron Jones is one hell of a. Devontae Adams is an elite receiver. Like, I'm a fan of greatness. I appreciate and I can see greatness, and that's just the way it is. Like, I'm not gonna hate on someone because they're whatever. Like, there's no reason to hate on someone or something because they're not on your team or you're a fan of somebody else. You can still appreciate greatness at the end of the day. Browns at Chiefs is gonna be interesting. Yeah, and then we got some people calling out Bucks. We got Field Guy coming in here saying who dat. Saints. We got Bucks at Saints as well. It'll be another interesting game. Very, very interesting. It's crazy to see Tom Brady on the NFC side of things now in playoffs, you know? So he's never had this Saints matchup in a playoff game throughout all his years. Because he's always been in the AFC, right? During the playoffs. What's good, football? Yeah, man. Congrats, brother, man. I'm happy for you guys, man. How crazy would it be? I know Connor's in here, a Chiefs guy. How crazy would it be if the Browns did the same thing they did this weekend to the Chiefs, like they did against Steelers? I mean, I'm not saying they are, but holy crap, would that be insane? Field Guy says Shady Brady. Nice. Actually, what I'm going to do real quick, give me 1 second here. I am going to... Whoops. I'm going to pull up the FanDuel lineups. God dang it. I'm going to kind of look and see what the lineups are looking like. So they break it up again. They don't have a Saturday-Sunday slate yet. They have a Saturday and a Sunday separate slate. I'm going to kind of look at this first look real quick. I haven't even looked at pricing yet on any of these guys. I want to see what pricing looks like. Alright, so obviously Josh Allen highest at 88, Rodgers 84, Lamar at 8,000, Goff 67. I'll have to look and see what Lamar's numbers are like against Buffalo in the past. Man, wow. Do you think Josh Allen does the same thing he did? I think right now, if I look at this, just because of price, obviously I'm a big Josh Allen fan. But I'm probably going to go Lamar here or Aaron Rodgers. I'm obviously not going to plan to play on the Saturday slate. I'm not going to plan to play Jared Goff, obviously. But I maybe run Lamar naked, meaning with nobody. Cam... Price did go up, obviously. Probably go here. Dobbins, Gus, Zach Moss, Malcolm Brown. Probably going to do like a... Man, Aaron Jones likes to find the end zone. Marquise Brown, 65. That's not bad. Really, I still like Gabriel Davis. I love his deep down threat. Let's see what the tight ends look like. So, Tanyan, Higbee, Knox, Lee, Mark Andrews again. I think you probably go Tanyan here. Defense, even though you're playing... even though you're hedging a little bit against Akers, you really don't have a lot of options here because there's only 2 games, right, for this slate. So just go Hollywood Brown there. Whatever it was. So this looks, yeah, it's not. So we probably got to go like this. And some would say, well, you're playing 2 Buffalo receivers, 2 Green Bay receivers. Why not play? And the reason why I would do something like this differently, who will choke? Oh, you're talking about Brady? You guys are going back and forth about Brady. Yeah, man, Buckeye, you're on a high note, man. You got to be having one of your best Mondays ever right now. But here's why I would do something like this. You know, a lot of times when guys play like 2 receivers or whatever, right? They usually stack it with that quarterback, and that's usually the right way to do it. But I talked about getting cute in the playoffs, but not getting cute to where you're not playing the right players, or you're not playing good players, right? But I think with doing something like this, it gets unique, right? I am pairing him with 1 receiver. But I'm doing a double, like a tight end receiver on with Green Bay and 2 Buffalo receivers. And then I'm just running Lamar with a single receiver. I think it's just a little cute. I mean, this is just a first glance, first look. Things will change. Just enter that in for giggles. For giggly igglies. So... Alright, guys, I'm going to run here. I got to get my lineups locked in, just reserved. So this is what I always do, guys, too. If you do play, go right when the slates come available so that you can get into those big single game, like $1 and $2 entries. Go in, and FanDuel finally did the reserve thing like DraftKings has always had. But go in and reserve your lineups. You don't have to set them, and then just remember to go set them. Put them in your calendar or whatever to say, hey, reminder if you don't go to the site every day. Reminder to set my NFL lineups. You know, Saturday morning or Sunday morning. Oh, let's do one more thing. Let's look at Sunday real quick before I get off here, and then I'm going to let you guys go. You guys can rock with me for a few more minutes if you want, or you do what you got to do, boo. All right. So this is the Cleveland KC and the Saints and Bucks game. So let's see what the pricing looks like on the Sunday game. So we got Mahomes obviously 9,200. We got Brady at 77. We got Baker at 74. I actually really like Baker here. Drew Brees 73. I think Baker is underpriced. Dude, the KC's defense, no offense to KC, they're a great team. Their defense is not that great. Like I said, I think the Colts had the best in the AFC. They had the best defense in the AFC playoffs. Buffalo beat them. That's my opinion. It's my own personal opinion. But so running backs, we got Kamara, obviously not a surprise, 9,200. Chubb at 82. Fournette 63. Oh, it was a quad. Yeah, his quad was hurt. He screwed me in a lot of lineups. Him and John Brown this last week. But I'll still go back to John Brown. I'm not afraid to. He had targets. He just didn't see anything. So, Kamara, Tampa Bay. Oh, going up against the best rush defense. He's still elite. He's got that receiving upside. This might be a week where I do a quarterback and a running back the same, like a Hunt, because Hunt will receive a lot. Like, if you look at him, in fact, so he had a rushing and receiving. He didn't find the end zone, I guess. Not as much as I thought he did. Not bad. Yeah, we're going to have to figure out news on some of these guys to see who's going to be available, who's not. Yeah, we got Edwards, Hilaire. We don't know what's up with him. That's going to be a... Running backs in this slate's going to be interesting. Receiving cores. Again, might look to Higgins. He had 7 targets. He only caught 2 of them. Obviously, Landry. So he only had 1 more target. He got in the end zone. He had 92 yards. But I think that the upside is there, right? And again, Deontay Harris, 5,200. A lot of guys are going to go to him because out of nowhere he gets 7 receptions and he catches all of them. But man, I don't know that I can't not take a chance at least in one lineup with somebody like him at $5,200. We got Cook, we got Hooper. Again, I'd probably go back to Hooper, right? He had 11 targets. If you look at this, they had last game of the year, he only had 5, but 11, 15. I mean, he's kind of becoming a go-to, especially around the end zone. Why you wouldn't take a stab at him? Defense is going to be tricky. Honestly, defensive-wise this week, like I usually say, defenses usually don't really matter. I think, I hate to say it, but I think you almost just take the cheapest defense at the end of the day, which would be the Browns, because I think all teams are going to score. And it's really going to be like I've talked about throughout the year. It's going to be that what defense gets a turnover, or does any of them even score a touchdown off of a turnover? An interception, pick 6, a fumble recovery. Browns. Baker's trash. Twins hat just doesn't match my black sweatshirt today, bro. I got my Twins hat. I got a couple different Twins hats. I got some Timberwolves. They just don't match my black sweatshirt today. So, but do money bet on the Bucks. Baker's trash. Well, again, that's what everybody was saying before this week, and look what happened. So, and again, this is a GPP tournament. So you're looking to play. His price is just too cheap for him being a starting quarterback in a playoff game against a KC soft defense is just too cheap at $7,400. I'm sorry to say it. Like, I should have played him this last week. I mean, everybody can say that now that they saw what happened, but literally, that's what my take was when I didn't play him in one DFS lineup this week. And guess what? I cashed like one tournament and barely cashed. Like, not anything to brag about. So, luckily NBA took care of all my losses. But, yeah. So depending upon Ronald Jones, obviously, you can look at Fournette if Jones is out. Kareem Hunt, you can look at, or Chubb. You could even do the thing like I talked about yesterday where I played Latavius Murray and Alvin Kamara, which actually didn't do terrible for those spots because Murray got in the end zone and Murray got hurt. Do you guys remember when they were down at the goal line and it took them like forever to get in, or they might even had to kick a field goal that time? I don't remember. But Murray was already hurt. He was already out of the game. If Murray was actually not hurt, Murray would have got the opportunities that not Kamara. Kamara got like one or two shots, and then they brought in someone else. Murray would have been the guy that would have been getting those goal line carries. So he could have had potentially another touchdown on top of the one that he already had. And if he was at like 5,000, it was just too cheap. Like he easily made his salary. So again, you can look to see if he's going to be in or be out. Just keep an eye on, man. If Edwards-Helaire is out, Le'Veon Bell would be a guy to possibly look at as well at 6,000. I mean, hell, that still leaves you 9,200. You know he's going to play. I mean, you just got to put in Tyreek Hill. So maybe I'd have to reevaluate this. Maybe you go like this. I'm just fucking around right now, but I'm just trying to see what I can come up with. Godwin, 12 targets. Again, I'm being a game log whore right now. 10 targets. Go like this. Again, I don't think defense really matters this week. Like this weekend, this coming up weekend. But this is just kind of a general idea. Kind of what I put together right now. Again, things are going to change. Le'Veon Bell is not going to be a play if obviously Edwards-Helaire is in, which he might be. He possibly could be. Tyreek Hill, I'm sure he's going to play. I would be surprised if Tyreek Hill does not play this coming weekend. He's got a week. He's already had time to rest and recoup that. He's going to have all week. You know, he doesn't necessarily have to practice, right? So he just makes his meetings, does whatever he's got to do if it's that bad to where he can't. But this would be a general idea. Again, I just think he's too cheap. He's way too cheap. And I wouldn't mind Drew Brees. And Drew Brees put up, 265 yards? But you guys have seen, Drew Brees is not that type of quarterback anymore. Drew Brees is more of a shorter dump-off quarterback. And dump-offs to Kamara and letting kind of Kamara and Murray take it on the run side. So that's where I'd kind of be, guys. Just a general idea. Again, you could think I'm crazy, but again, people that played Baker this last weekend won some money. Definitely. So, and will he repeat? Will he do what he did? Maybe not. So I think you need more sleep if you think the Browns have a chance. Elvis. Well, that's your opinion, brother. We'll talk about it after the games this weekend. I don't need more sleep. I went to bed at freaking... God, I slept more than half the day yesterday, and I went to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock last night at the latest. So the Chiefs do not have that great of a defense. I'm just telling you. I'm putting that out there right now. They have probably one of the softest defenses of most teams in the playoffs this year. Starting this past weekend, they have one of the best offenses. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But their defense is a little suspect. The Vikes have cap space to pay God. Well, they're trading Cousins to the Saints since this will be Brees' last game. Murray has a thigh injury. Yeah. Yeah, field guy, but Murray is a goal. He's gotten in the end zone plenty of times this year. He is a goal line running back. He gets goal line opportunities. If they're doing a pass like on a goal line pass play, it's a Kamara play. If it's a run, it typically just goes right to Murray if they're on the one. So, what's up, Joe? How you doing, buddy? This is what's great. This is why I love doing this, because I get all you guys. Everybody has their opinions, which is perfectly fine. Everybody feels one way or another about a team, whether it's biased because they like a specific team or whatever. I'm not a Browns fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm a fan of the game. I just see what I see. I watch what I watch. I'm just telling you guys, like, the Browns weren't supposed to win this last weekend, and they smoked the Steelers. Smoked them. There you go, field guy. Right. He does get the touches. Absolutely. And he's too cheap. Like, some of you guys, if you don't play DFS, you don't understand why I'm picking certain players. You have to play guys that are salaried properly for the potential of what they can do. Baker Mayfield coming off a almost 300-yard passing game with 2 TDs against a Pittsburgh defense, going against a KC defense next, at one of the cheapest price points for quarterback options on the slate. They could lose. You guys, because I'm putting Browns in here in a DFS lineup, doesn't necessarily just me say that I'm saying Browns are for sure 100% going to win. No. What I'm saying is, I think Baker Mayfield is going to pay off this $7,400 price tag. I think the upside is for him is to crush that price tag. He could throw for 200 yards, have 1 or 2 passing touchdowns, and maybe even get a rushing touchdown. They could still lose the game to the Chiefs. The Chiefs could outscore them, right? And they could still lose. But he could still be on the winning side of a DFS GPP lineup. So you guys got to understand, like, when I'm picking players, like Higgins is way too cheap, but I put in Landry because I had so much salary left over, right? Hooper got 11 targets last week. He's going to get 11 targets again this next weekend against the Chiefs defense. It's too cheap. $5,500? Why would I pay $7,000 or $8,000 for a tight end that gets 5 targets versus a tight end that gets 10 or 11 targets? That's how you play DFS. You have to play where the value is. You have to find the value. Again, guys, this isn't me picking my who's going to win games. This is me picking who's going to outplay these salaries. Who's going to outpay what their price tag is, whatever their cost is, right? Who is going to outpay that? And I think someone like Harris again, even though I'm a little suspect of him, because he goes out and has one game where he gets 7 targets and he catches every single target. At 5,200, he's still too cheap. You can't build a lineup. Sometimes when guys haven't played DFS, they think that they can just build a lineup that has Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Alvin Kamara, like everyone that's the highest price point play. You can't do it. You'll have 2 or 3 players that don't even get in the game that are the low salary to fit in. Your points are not going to outscore someone else that has found value in certain players or plays. That's the difference here, guys. Don't take, just because I'm taking Baker as a quarterback, because he is way too cheap on a FanDuel lineup after just coming off a performance he just did. They should have shot his price up to $8,000. Probably $8K flat. He's $7,400. He's going up against a much softer defense than he just played. Again, he could underperform that. Absolutely. He could have a terrible game. Absolutely. Anybody could. Anybody could, right? I'm just saying. So, that's where I'm sitting right now for the Sunday slate. Again, guys, we're not picking who's winning games specifically. we're picking players to fit and build lineups that are going to score points, period. So, but anyway, guys, I hope you guys have an awesome Monday. And again, I've been playing DFS consistently, daily, for about 7 years now. For about 7 years. So, I know what I'm doing when it comes to DFS. Do I win every time? No. But I win enough to not have to be just shoveling money into FanDuel and DK all the time. Like, it's not how it is. So, all right, guys. You guys have an awesome Monday. I appreciate you guys rocking with me this morning. Man, we did about a little over an hour stream. It was pretty fun. It was good to kind of break down the games. Again, we'll break down these games Monday. And then all you guys with who you feel and your opinions, we can see if your opinions were right or wrong. We can see where things went to. We can reevaluate. I'll talk about everybody I was on for DFS as far as individual players, not teams. And we'll just kind of see how things come together and how they work. So, Shaq Rat, what up, brother? Good morning to you, my guy. So I appreciate all of you guys popping in. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate all the interaction, guys. I love it. I love the interactions. I love the I need more sleep, the Browns suck, blah, blah, blah. I love all that stuff. I love the back and forth between you guys as long as you guys are being civil with each other and, you know, just having fun and, you know, saying each person's team sucks. So next Monday we'll be gearing up against the Rams. Okay. No, not next Monday. What are you talking about? Oh, because you think they're going to beat the Pack. Yeah, so we'll see, man. We will definitely see. So, very, very awesome. I love everybody's opinions. I love where everybody thinks they see teams are going to go. That's why I do this. If I didn't get any interaction with you guys, it would just be me talking, and that's it, period. And it would just be all my views and my views only. So, again, guys, have an awesome, awesome, awesome Monday. Kick today's ass. Go do it. Have fun. While you kick its ass, smile, laugh. Say hello to people. Cheer people up. You walk by somebody, say hi, say what's up. If they don't say anything back, forget it. Just keep walking. Don't bring negativity towards it. But you could make someone's day just by saying hello or hi or what's up to them. So go out and do it. And until next time, guys, we'll see you soon. I love y'all, man.